Hello. We wanted to share with you a short follow-through recovery program where we'll use a foam roll and a lacrosse ball to get some amateur tissue work and get the blood flow and get some things gliding better. And then we'll go through some both static and dynamic stretching to have you better aligned and feeling good the rest of the day. So if you have your lacrosse ball with you, we'll start with that against the wall. I'll take my hot pink ball, I'm going to place it, I'm going to work the back side of my left rear end. I'm going to angle myself towards that side, so I'm on my left cheek on the ball, and I'm angled this way. So my weight's in my front foot, not exclusively, and I'll just slowly move. One of the keys, we feel, to lacrosse ball work and foam rolling work is that the movement on top of the compressive element is slow and smooth. And I'm looking, it's a search and destroy mission. I'm looking for spots that are a little more sore than others, and I'll hold there a little bit. There'll be a few occasions where we hold and move, but for now, we'll start out just find a good spot and sink into it. Some nice calm breathing. And after about 20 seconds, we'll move on to another position. Feel free to take your ball and move it so that the mechanics of your pressure are easy on you. If your whole body's working really hard, it's hard to talk that gluteus muscle into relaxing and sinking into the ball. Nice work. All right, we'll ease, we'll switch sides. Take it, same setup, about 45 degrees off center towards that. You can see the grimace in my face because I know this hip bothers me a little bit. So if I weren't doing the follow along, I would pause my camera. If I were doing the follow along, I would pause my playback, and I would put a little extra time into the side that was a bit more sore. Oh, and there's a real good spot for me. I hope you found one. Let it sink in. Breaths can be calm. They don't have to be excessively deep. Nice, smooth, rhythmic breathing. Though I'm going to be talking and obviously not breathing through my nose, it's a good opportunity to do some nasal breathing in and out smoothly just to work on that component. There's some research that shows it has some unique value. Both in and out. Good. Let's take it. Let's go to the, if you will, the butt cheeks of the upper body. Let's go to the back side of the shoulder. And we'll go to the back side here. The back side of the system at the hips and the shoulder obviously tends to have more load on it because our eyes are in the front of our head, gravity's pulling us down, so we tend to round forward. So the back side of what we call our posterior chain has a lot of load on it. So my ball is right between my shoulder blade and my spine. And I'm not on the bone of the shoulder blade, and I'm simply gliding up and down. I'm working my left shoulder, so I'm going to take my left hand, put it on my top of my shoulder, and let this other hand support it. Neither arm has to work very hard, and the tissue's soft as it is going to get, and relaxed into that ball, sort of receiving the massage, if you will. But really, it's just pure compression. To give you a visual, it's going to be here. Out here would be on my shoulder blade. I want it between the spine and the blade itself. Let's go to the other side. I'll put it down low enough so that I have a little room to go up and down. Always assessing to see if one side is tighter than the other. And of course, give that side a little bit more attention. Play with a little left to right. We like to go north and south and east and west in most of our rolling techniques. But on the shoulder blade, in this rear shoulder region, there's not a lot of room to do that without rolling over bone. And sometimes the lacrosse ball is a little aggressive to be rolling over the bony tissue. A little less comfortable. Good job. I'm going to put this in the pocket for later on. Save yours. At the end, we'll do some nice footwork. So I'm going to take the roll. For some of you, those same two positions against the wall are good choices for rear end and some rear shoulder. You won't have a lot of pressure, but it's also not a lot of physical demand on the body. I'm going to go to the floor to do rear end and back side of the shoulder a little bit. But feel free to stay up on the wall if that's your preference. So I'm going to get straight-legged, arm out. It's a little bit of pressure on this shoulder. And I'm going to go just on that globe that is the gluteus muscle, up and down. If you don't feel you're not finding any good spots there, take that ankle. You can see that's not easy for me. Put it up on that knee. That'll put that muscle on stretch, and it might expose a few more spots. If your rear shoulder isn't happy, if you bring a chair nearby, some sort of small stool to prop up, it'll be a little less pressure on that arm. Let's switch sides. You might find success changing the angle of your roll and its orientation on those muscle fibers. So instead of it being straight across your hips, we angle it a little bit more that way. But that's a very individualized preference. Experiment. Again, it's a bit of a search and destroy. You're looking for spots that are begging for a little attention. And what you want to give them is a little attention. Do not spend an hour digging and digging and digging. More is not always better when you're doing self-fascial release techniques. Good. We'll see if I can get this hip's a little easier for me to get up. Nice easy breathing. Find the hot spot and stay on it if you can. Good work. And relax. Let's go. We're going to do a technique that's not common in the fitness industry, but very valuable. We're going to take our roll, and you can do it in an upright position. Get it right on what's called the pubic symphysis. It's the bone right above the personals, below the belly button, and usually below the waistband on most people's clothing. And you're going to glide left to right. So I'm exaggerating it. You might even be able to hear that friction across my clothing. Don't have to go that far. We're just looking to get that tissue to move a little left to right. Most people can be comfortable on a foam roll. Not everybody. So some might have to do the standing. So I'm down. The foam roll's a bit below my pelvic bones on the outside. And I'm gliding, pushing that tissue that's at the bottom of my abdominals. There's a lot of connective tissue lines, fascial lines that run across the front side of the body, and many of them insert on the front side of the pelvis, just above the privates. So make sure you're comfortable in that regard. It doesn't have a huge feel factor immediately, but it's really valuable to open up that front side. When I say open up, because most of us, gravitationally, again, because the eyes are forward, we look forward, we read, most of us are collapsing in that regard. So anything we do to open up that way, really, really valuable. So we'll do, you can lie down on the floor to do this one as well. I'm going to stay upright for it. But you can take the foam roll, line it up on your sternum. Again, lots of lines of connective tissue run through there. They're sort of train stations, if you will, where tracts of muscle and connective tissue run through. And I'm simply going to glide up and down. Again, not a huge feel factor. For me, a particularly important intersection of tissue, because I've had open heart surgery, so to keep that tissue moving just as comfortably as it can, very, very important for me. So this is a regular in my program. You could go above the soft tissue of the chest, go a little left to right. But again, you could go against the wall. For the sternal approach, you could go on the floor. I find the pelvic position against the wall, there's no gravity helping me to stay solid on it. So I either go on floor or go upright in that regard. While we're here, I want to take you through one or two static stretches for the back side of the hip. So I'll be turning my back to the camera, but I'm going to put my feet up on the wall, like so, at about hip width, and it's as if I had 90 degrees at the knees and the hip. I'm going to take my left ankle rather, put it on my right knee. So for me, that's too tight. My hips are still up in the air. I'm going to back up a little bit so that both of my hips can sit evenly on the floor. The back side of my waistband pretty evenly connected. And I'm pushing this knee toward the wall with the muscles in my hip. We'll hold it for about 20 seconds. Many people that we train, athletes, clients, the people doing reconditioning, they go into this stretch or held position and they always ask, can I hold it longer? And of course the answer is yes. For the film today, we'll only hold it for about 20 seconds. Nice smooth breathing. We'll ease out of that. We'll go to the second side. Good work. If that hip's a little tighter, back up a little bit. If it's a little looser, you can scoot your tush into the wall a little closer. Trying to let the hips settle on the floor. For some of you, it'll feel like lots of work on the outside of your hip in the rear end. For others, it'll feel like it's opening up the inside. In fact, it's doing both. But where you feel it will be an individualized experience. Nice work. We'll ease out of that. Roll over. Hopefully you got a nice cushion underneath your knees. I'll go at a 45-degree angle to the camera. We're going to go into what the yogis call a child's pose. We're going to modify it slightly and walk our hands 45 degrees off center. So I get to face the camera. Notice my toes are pointed, so I'm going to get a little opening on the front side of the ankle. I'm going to let my head rest between the hands. Sink down in there, and to get a little extra value out of the stretch, my stretching hand that I'm tapping for the camera, I'm going to press and dig those fingertips down into the floor. Couple breaths, reaching from the rib cage, really trying to lengthen the rib cage muscles. You may feel it in the lower side near the pelvis. You may feel it up into the shoulder blade. I'll switch for the camera angle. Walk the hands out. 45 degrees to the left this time. Don't feel you have to go too far out. Sitting as far back in your hips as you can. You're stretching your arm, in this case my right arm, the trail arm. I'm going to dig those fingertips in. That irradiates tissue all the way down from the hand into the hip. Leaning out into that shoulder blade a little bit. Fantastic. Come on out of there. Okay, so we're going to move from here. We're going to switch camera angles very briefly. You had a chance to get a sip of water, and we're going to go through some more dynamic stretching to help connect some of this smoothness we've tried to integrate into the body and length, and have you moving and walking better by the end of the session. So we're going to start getting you moving a little bit more, but everything stays slow and controlled for now. I want your feet just outside of hip width. You've noticed I've taken off my shoes. You're welcome to do that too. None of it will be super demanding work, but to get some barefoot contact with the floor gets the intrinsic muscles in the feet to work better, and we'll be using the lacrosse ball to wake them up too. So feet hip width, knees a little bent, hands at chin. I simply want you to take your left hand, I'll be your mirror, and I want you to reach up and across. So your biceps should almost take your chin up and around a little bit. You're going to keep the feet grounded. You're going to let the hips turn. So we're getting a spiraling rotation through almost every joint in the body. Not completely, but as I rotate one way, the side I'm rotating to, that arch comes uphill a little bit, and the other arch comes down in my feet. But I'm keeping big toe and pinky in contact with the floor the whole time. Let's take that and go overhead. So hands at ears. I'm going to reach and lean. Nice smooth motion. We did that kneeling lat stretch and got some length. Now we're asking it to be able to handle it, get out there and get home. This is work based on the genius of the Gray Institute. Feel free to check out their material from an educational standpoint. Big reach. And now we take the hands and we go around the other way. So from chin, I'm going to reach up behind me like I'm going up onto a high shelf. And likewise here. If I keep my eyes facing the camera, I'll get a little separation. I'll be rotating my torso under my neck. Nice for neck mobility. I got stuck on my words there. If my eyes follow my hands, I'm going to get more rotation, and it'll challenge the inner ear, my vestibular system, that has a lot to do with your balance. So I recommend doing a few reps of both, where the eyes follow and the balance system's challenged a little bit, and then some with the eyes forward. So we're not rotating as far, but we're getting some movement through the neck without the neck having to work very hard. So an upper body reaching series or matrix to try to loosen up the tissue and get the nervous system awake. Now we call this a counter stretch. You can use your countertop, you could use a wall. In this case, for camera angle's sake, I'm going to use the top of a piece of exercise equipment, one of our Vipers. I'm going to sit back, almost hip hinging, getting a little bit of length on the back side of my hamstring, but a lot of stretch underneath that arm again, in that tissue. I'm going to take my down hand, I'm taking a deep breath, and reach to the floor. So I've got that left shoulder, my up hand on a lot of stretch. I'm going to take that hand, I'm going to swing a little slow-mo golf swing up, and a little slow-mo golf swing under. So I'm using that moving arm to create or drive the motion from my shoulder blade into my rib cage, into my hips. Nice and smooth, what we'd call second gear. Notice I'm keeping my eyes down. Let's do 3 more reps, but have the eyes follow the hand if you can. Nice work. Keep a nice smooth breathing pattern. Some people like to inhale as they go up and exhale as they go down. The important thing to us is that you're breathing in a rhythmic fashion and not holding the breath. For other people, reversing that pattern feels more comfortable. I'm down. Get some length. The shoulder's a little tighter on me. I saved my tight sides for the second so I can cheat and selfishly get a little bit more time on that tight side. Smooth second gear speed, pause at the end. Nice work. And we ease out of that. I move my Viper off to the side. I'm going to put you in a stride stance now, 1 foot forward. So again, as your mirror, I'll go right foot forward. I'll have you take your opposite hand, your left hand, and go high to the ceiling. So in the same way that with the standing reaches, we were looking to get big length or expand your bubble of movement, we'll do that here. So I'm going to reach way back. I'll keep eyes forward and down a bit, and I'll go on a big diagonal pattern down across. And up. And in the same fashion, I'll go from a fixed eye position now to following that hand. Now this is going to be the biggest balance challenge of the work we've done so far with that head movement. So don't rush your motion. Good work. Stay in that stance. Switch hands. Go to the other hand high, down and across. Lengthens the back side of your front leg. And as you come up and around, it lengthens the front side of your back leg, up through the abdominals, into that shoulder. I like to inhale as I go down, and exhale as I come up. And reach. There's some really cool research on full expirations of air. As you go down, as we come up, really hold this one and try to blow out as much air as you can. Keep reaching, and rest. Those reps aren't comfortable, but it's a nice blend in for a more sophisticated approach. We'll do that on the end of this as well, on each side here. So I'll take opposite side hand first. I reach high, I come down across, try not to roll off of either side of my foot profoundly. Big forced air here. Ready? Reach and exhale, reach high, Keep blowing, keep blowing, keep blowing. And relax, let's go. Same side hand, so it's the same side as your front foot. High hand reach. See where you can go. Down across. Keep the eyes relatively fixed for a couple. Always get the lay of the land on the first couple reps. See where you can go comfortably, and then try to gently convince the body to go further, but never force anything. Let's have the eyes follow the hands now. Big rotation. If that's too much, you could just go from, say, a fixed spot here to modify that. And let's go one more with our big, full expiration of air. Get it out there and rest. Nice work. So we've got one more thing in this recovery session. Pull out your lacrosse ball again, and we're going to do some footwork. So I want to keep it simple, and I want to keep it safe. So what I don't want you to do is get your whole body weight standing on top of that ball. There's no way the tissue in the foot can't stiffen up and fight to support what you're asking it to do. We're trying to get that tissue to relax. So get your heel down on the ground. There's several arches in the foot that we're trying to encourage. The arch, my black socks are a little telling you, my foot's pretty flat. That medial longitudinal arch and this arch across the front from big toe up under to the pinky toe. Those are the two we're going to focus on today. So I'm going to get that ball right in the power pads of the ball of my foot, the heel's down. Good. I got a hand on the wall so I'm stable. And I'm just going to rock left to right. Good. I'll rock to the inside. I'll move the toes up and then regrip the ball. Up and regrip the ball. Let's go one more time. Let's roll back to the outside a little bit. Get it right under that big toe. Adjust it so it feels like it's meaty. Squeeze, clench the ball, open up the toe. Clench the ball, open up the toe. Nice work. We'll switch feet. Heel down so it's comfortable. So it's sometimes better if you're on carpet. Rolling left to right. Lots of muscles down there in the foot. They get very little attention, and very often we put them in different shoes that really compromise their capacity. So I think if I were to say one thing out of all that we did today to treat yourself to help you move better, probably lacrosse ball to the foot. There are people who like where let's hold it to the inside and clench and open the toes. We're big fans of the toe spreaders, like they use, they put between your nails. If you're getting a pedicure, haven't had one of those in a long time. And up, move to the outside of the foot. Good, let's go back to the first side. I'm going to change my angle, and I'm simply going to roll along the inside edge. I have maybe a third of my body weight on there. I don't have a lot of pressure. Especially in the first couple rolls, I want to see where it likes it, where it doesn't. I can angle my foot down a little bit. Some of you will be drawn instinctively to outside the foot. There's another strip of tissue out there that's good to work. But again, we're not disrupting scar tissue. We're not reconfiguring the alignment of the foot. We're simply getting some blood flow and some neural input into the system to promote a better gliding experience between the different layers of tissue and a better awareness in the tissue itself and the nerves that it's working. So we'll switch. So it's a slow first gear roll, front to back, holding on the tight spots. Nice work. Let's ease it. Go towards the middle if you haven't already. I've got a spot there towards my heel I'm going to pay a little extra attention to. But that's the theme of the tissue work this morning. Find a spot, give it a little extra attention, trust your instincts about moving it a little bit. Just don't give in to the instinct to move fast with the pressure. That's the only one I'd warn you against. And relax. Good job following along. You'll find that some of the techniques really go into your hip pocket as favorites that are really good for your body. You may even find that you want to do certain stretches or tissue work on one side to try to bring it to catch up. That's a nice idea in terms of efficiency. Most importantly, not only during this COVID crisis, but overall, take good care of yourself. You're the only one who will. See ya.